our marriages, our families, our relationships, possessions are all gifts from who? From God. And so we are called upon to use them responsibly. Now, this brings in now the question of the principles of stewardship. So we must accept that the ownership, there is the idea of ownership. The ownership belongs to God. To God. So that's one principle. Who owns? And then there is that principle of responsibility and accountability. Sometimes these words are used interchangeably. Responsibility and accountability. When we talk of responsibility, we say you are responsible for something. But when we talk of accountability, you are accountable to somebody. So in a way, if you are given possession of things to take care of, then you are responsible for those things, to take care of them. But you must answer, you are accountable to the owner of those things. So that's why we say there is a responsibility and accountability. These things come with a reward or with a punishment. If you are a good steward, you will get a reward. But if you are a poor steward, then you will be punished for being a bad steward. Now, this Lewis said these words, that everything we have, I'm not going to quote him verbatim because I want to rush through this thing, is that every faculty of your life, even blinking, even when I'm shaking my hand like this, whether I walk or I do anything, all those belong to who? To God. It's the one who gives us the ability to do all things. So even if you are to use all your faculties for God, still you are not doing him a favor because you are only giving him what belongs to him. They are not yours. Now, of courtship. And I believe that the people who are singles, now this is their section. We shall be having two sections, that for the singles and for the married people. So what do we mean by this courtship? We are looking at, it can be a period, it can be a behavior, it can be a process. Yes? I'm not going to read all that stuff. Where you are pursuing a relationship with someone, and this is someone with whom you see a future with, not somebody to have only for today and tomorrow, but for the rest of your life. That is the courtship. So when you have a courtship, that means you're having a goal. And that goal is what? Is what? Is marriage. Yes? So when people say they are courting, they are in courtship, that means they are intending to marry. Simple as that. I don't want to go into the difference between courting and courtship and dating. I don't want to go into that difference, though they may look similar. But we have to know that for courtship, we are talking of intentions to marry. I hear some people say, I'm seeing someone. I've heard people talk like that. Well, I'm not single, I'm seeing someone. I don't know whether you're just looking at someone like that, or you are seeing him for what purpose. In courtship, we mean that. You are going to marry the person. I want us to look at the key aspects of courtship. One is what we shall call, I thought it is there, intentionality. In other words, you have an intention why you are having this courtship. And that intention is to have what? A lifelong partner. So if you are not intending to have a lifelong partner, that is not courtship. That is something else. And I like women who are serious. When a man begins, you ask, Viadala or Babia? You ask, what is the end result? A man should be clear on that. Because many times, a man can keep you 9 years, is keeping you in suspense, and later he kicks you when you have already lost many opportunities. So he must be very clear. Women feel shy on this, but if somebody has come into your life, open your eyes very wide and ask this person, are you serious? where are we heading, so that you can know whether it's serious or it's just playing monkey tricks. Then we have this idea of involvement of family and friends. When you're in courtship, it is not only your business. It is the business of your family, it is the business of friends, and it can even be the business of the church. It's not only your business. So it is not a joking subject. Then we have also this other idea coming up, and that is physical intimacy. When there is courtship, physical intimacy is an issue that we must look at. And normally in courtship, it means that with the physical intimacy, in that department you go slowly. Am I clear? Yeah, because if you rush, the courtship can stop at that. I wish I had time to also enlarge on this. But for women, you don't know men. And I want to tell you that sometimes you may be hungering for something. You know, when you have this aroma, you got this kitchen here, and as you are going there, aroma of the food hits you. You reach this food, you know it will be very tasty. You put the first spoon and there's no salt. You try the other spoon, probably the rice overstayed yesterday, and you are no longer interested. I think you understand what I mean. So that's why it can cause a problem. Then there is also the time frame. How long should be that courtship? Sorry, this thing is running fast. I don't know. It is running beyond me. We are talking about the time frame. Should it be a year? Should it be 10 years? 3 years? How many? It varies according to circumstances. Yes? Maybe you are preparing yourself, maybe financially, maybe you have some cultural norms, maybe you have your personal interest. So somebody cannot come here and say it should take 3 months. It should take a year. It should take this. No, it is up to you to see the circumstances. But it should be time enough for you to know the person well, so that you don't rush into it before you know who the person is. Then there are those social dynamics. Because when you are courting, you are not looking at this person only with yourself, but also how does this person react when he or she is in a setting of friends, of relatives, and other people who matter, so that you can gauge whether you'll be able to fit with this person in your community. That's why you may have a girl who is not kubonga. What is kubonga in English? Relating well. Maybe you are with your mother, or maybe with your parent, with your father, and you feel this one will not be possible. The mother or the father can say, she has no mulamwa. And just because of that, you have issues. Okay? So you have to be very careful. How are they going to relate? That one is very key. Then we also talk about communication and conflict resolution. Now, when it comes to communication and conflict resolution, that means every time you disagree, at least you should have that way of solving problems for the interest of the marriage to take place. So as you are resolving these issues, you are resolving them in view of the future marriage that you are thinking about. Then we have those cultural and religious influences. Now, those are very key. That's why I say that when you are in courtship, it is not only your business. It is the business of your family. It is the business of the church. So if you're in courtship, that means as Seventh-day Adventists, you will do that courtship in an SDA way. Am I communicating? Yes. So that when you see the pastor passing by, you don't have to run away because the pastor is aware you are planning this person. You get? You know, the pastor, he could be aware. Even when you fail, you can say, Pastor, but you see, support me here. I'm failing. You get it? Like if you fail to approach somebody, you can come to me and say, I want that lady, but I'm fearing. I go and I attack on your behalf. So by the time you go, the ground is already soft. So you can do like that because it's an open what? It is an open secrecy. If you are having a relationship with a lady and you are deceiving her, but you don't want people to see you together, there is a problem. There is a what? If you are having a girl and you plan to marry her, but she doesn't want you to know her people, she doesn't want anybody to see that you are together, there is a what? Because the courtship is supposed to be open. Even when it is in a church like this, you can sit together and people can know these people are intending to do something. So it is very clean as that. You get? Like now, my wife is there. If I want even now, I can go there and hug her in your presence because I don't fear. You know she's my wife. So if you are also going with this person, don't do the hug. You remember we talked about the physical intimacy. You are not yet there, but there are things you can do. You can walk together. That's okay in the presence of people. There's no problem with that. Now, when we come to marriage, this one we know very well. I want us to just define marriage with those words. We read them continuously. Those words in, is that orange? Is it red? Is it which color? You know, many were colorblind. The highlighted ones. Is it orange? This is red. Okay. We can say, we can read those together in red only as we continue, and we shall have the definition. Marriage is what? Legally or formally, man and woman, based on, and that, you see, these were different definitions. But from them, we can just get those ones. So you can see, marriage is that legal or formal, recognized union of two people. And we are talking of man and, yes, we hear of man and man these days, but we are talking of man and who? And woman. And these things are based on love, not on any other thing, and mutual commitment, because entering marriage is not a joke. We are going to look at some aspects, and those who are planning to marry, you should know. When you go to the labor ward and you hear women crying there, it is not easy business. So even in marriage, there are what? There are issues. So as you are planning, you are in courtship to enter, no, there are issues you are going to face. So it is good that we interact, so that as the married people will be discussing their issues, you who are not yet married can know what you want to enter into. So whatever, when you enter there, your relationship is legal, legally binding, economically binding, and emotionally uniting all of both of you. Now, we are looking at this topic in relation to stewardship. So, we are stewards of various things. But as far as relationships are concerned, I chose to look at only these, our bodies, the resources we get, which may be financial, and others. Then our gifts. And then we have the opportunities and we have time. So whether you are married or you are single and you are searching, you know that this will still be binding in your relationship. Now, we have, let's begin with the stewardship of our bodies. Are we there? So we shall be saying in courtship, if I'm having courtship session, how is my body supposed to be? If it is in marriage, how am I supposed to take care of this gift God has given me? Of course, we know that we need that what? That good care of our bodies. Our bodies should be healthy. Now, I'm talking to those who are not yet married. Your bodies should be what? Good and healthy. They should look nice. Because these bodies of yours must be attractive. Whether you're a man or a woman, you have to look nice. for people to see you and admire you and appreciate you. Huh? Are we together? Yes. That is very necessary. You know, women should know, you young women should know, that men are like farmers. When a man looks at good soil, a farmer looks at good soil, he wishes he can plant there a seed. Am I communicating? But when he looks at soil which looks arid, he doesn't wish to cultivate in that soil. So men look at women the way farmers look at the ground. So you should be attractive for people to look at you. So you must care, and then you become attractive. But as you are doing your courtship, please avoid some things, because you must maintain chastity. Is it there? Avoid sexual interaction. Because as I told you, sometimes when you taste the food you are longing for and it's not as tasty as you expected, you are likely not to finish the plate. And so men take advantage of this, and once they are not satisfied or for some other reason, they stop at that. You remember those who at KCC? There was a sermon I had, and I told you of this song, Wonofunacho Yagara. Huh? You remember that sermon? Won't you call these legs toothpick after you have got what you wanted? Yes, so men are like that. Sometimes they can kukua na wana now, but after getting what they wanted, they look at you as rubbish. So be very careful. Young ladies, I'm a man and I can tell you, because this is true. Men, am I lying, men? Men, am I lying? Huh? I'm not lying. Men, once they taste something, they start losing interest. They are not like women. Women, the more the love comes, the more they want the love. But the more the men get what they want, the more the love dies. If they are not yet married, that is true. Now, in marriage, the most thing we emphasize, of course, is faithfulness. I'm not going to dwell on this because it's a general topic in the church, you know it. It means what? Faithfulness. We need that because it is part of taking care of our bodies as good stewards. It doesn't mean that when you marry, you stop taking care of your body. No, you must continue taking care of yourself. You must still remain healthy also, so that you can still look appetizing. That attractiveness also, your husband needs it. Don't say because I already got him, then you are just there for. No. Men will also look for young people who are kwekolako, and yet if you also maintain yourself, you are still, looking nice. Okay? Men can even go to older women who are prostitutes, who are looking better than their younger wives. Why? Because the wife is not working on herself. So work on yourselves, because the men also want to look at good things. But even the men, also you work on yourselves. There are men who say, a man does not request vizigo. You have heard of such men? And you look at the whole man, he looks very, very crude. No, you also have to request lotion. You get, even women also want nice bodies. Not so, do you want a body which scratches you? Huh? You go to our villages, there are men, even when you shake his hands, they scratch you. Even his body, you just see he does not even use soap, and he tells you he does not use physical because he's not a woman. You've heard of those men? Yeah, men, women also want to go to good people. They want good things also. What about the stewardship of resources? The resources. Well, men, women are more interested in men with the resources. Shall I repeat? When women want men who are committed, men who care, men who are supportive, They mean men who have resources to flash on them. Do you know that? Topic. So you must show your potential. When you are a man who is coming to a woman, you must show your what? Your potential. You may not have anything. But when this woman looks at you, he says, in the 5 years, this guy, he looks like. That's why women used to marry lawyers and doctors those days, because they would know this man has a big future. So if you have something, you are doing your work, you have the opportunity to work and show the potential. If you don't have something yet, show that you have a future. Don't just be there and you think you will give love. Which love? Because love which does not have money also cracks. Because it must be oil, it must have some oil in it to make the love happen. So show that you have that ability to invest. Show that you are doing some business, you are doing something, that actually she can see that this man has some future. And by the way, even you women, don't think that men also want women who will just be there just to have a night with them and that's it. No, it doesn't work that way. They are also looking at you. There are some women, you just see her that if this is my wife, I'll die a poor man. Because she has no future, she's there for today. You take her out, she will make sure she spends all the money you have in your pocket. And when you go home, of course, you know what it is. You reach even a time of asking somebody to send you mobile money very quickly. By the time you go in the evening, the man has already lost interest in you. You must know that this man also wants a woman, because you have a life together. So you must be the type of woman who also shows that you can build this man up, not just a parasite, as I'm going to show you later. Then, there is this issue of gifts. While women want to be given, even men want to be given. Yes, not so men. And you have never even given a hanky of 500 shillings. And all you want to give me, and you never say, I've brought for you this. Let even be a pen of 500 shillings or 1,000 to show that you have a good what? A good heart of giving. Men also love this. Now, when it comes to marriages, also, we know that in marriage you have already got resources together. Please remember to give what? God his due. You remember the story of Ananias and the wife? They connived to cheat God, and you know what happened? Don't reach there and connive with your wife and forget God in your formula when you get your resources. Then when you have these resources, use them for the good of your family. Because the family is now yours, the two of you. Try to work together to have these resources for the good of the family together. Let not each person pull his side, this one pulling the other side and this one pulling the other side. That's not good stewardship. Because the resources, after all, are not yours. They are for God, from God. And as you prepare them, soon you leave the world, they will even belong to your children. So when we are grown up, we have children, the things we have, we borrow from our children because we die and leave those things to the children. So don't fight over these resources. Share them because they are not yours after all. And even in marriage, exchange what? These gifts. Though I've taken long without giving my wife gifts, but she gives me. Then Narumunya people, are you here? Narumunya. Yeah, there's someone there. You know, when I came to Narumunya, I told you something. And I went that we all love virgins. We all love what? We all love virgins. When I went to Narumunya, I went there and I told them that I had put on shoes which were virgins. I had just put them on that day. My wife had just given them to me. And they were virgin. And I want to confess that even today, I'm in virgin shoes. The others were black. These ones are brown. And the mileage of these shoes is from that parking yard up to here. They have only walked from there to here, just now. And even this shirt I'm having, it is also a gift from my child. Even the vest inside, it is a gift from their pocket money. You get? So we all love gifts. When my children saw that I was transitioning from being a quinquagenarian to a sexagenarian, they said, you deserve something. And they bought for me these things, and I'm feeling good in them. So even in our homes, we need to do what? To share these gifts. But you are there, give me, give me, give me. No, women, even the men, In other words, we are saying, don't, well, they are just a parasite even when you have the ability to work. Even when you have something you don't want to share, but you just want to get from other people. The other one should do everything. That's not right. Now we have the idea of the breadwinner. We normally use that term, the breadwinner. This word came in the 1820s. It was at that time when bread was a staple food, and as it is even today. So the person who brought home the bulk of the money to buy this bread was the one known as the what? As the breadwinner. Now, even if you are earning, both of you, whoever brings in more money that sustains the family, you can name that one as the bread what? As the breadwinner. I want to leave that one. Now, in the past, this term of the breadwinner this term of the breadwinner was mainly used where you had a single income family where the other spouse stayed at home and the other one went to work to earn cash. So he would be having the money to do what? To buy the bread. So he became the breadwinner. And historically, it was the men who used to go to work. So they were expected to be the breadwinners in the what? In the family. Now, when you look at today, the breadwinners can be women or men, or both of them, depending on the circumstances. Because now, when you go to Europe, where house girls are very expensive, a man and a woman, they agree. The one who's getting a bigger salary goes to work, and the one who's getting a smaller salary chooses to stay at home to look after the child. Isn't that so? Yeah, it is that type of symbiotic relationship. You can't avoid it. And so we can both be breadwinners, not only one person. So we need to start unlocking our thinking. Now, I have a case to build. And listen to me carefully. I don't know whether I'm going to call it an argument, or I'm going to call it a quarrel or a disagreement. Because I see that the marriage is crucial intersections in issues of labor, gender, and social class. And many of the issues we are having in our marriages to do with the finances, it is because we are refusing to accept the trends as they are catching up with us. And I have an issue with 3 types of people. That's where my quarrel is. 1, the women. Group number 2, the counselors, the pastors. I have a quarrel with those people. Why? Because of this thing. Look at what is happening. We need to rethink and revise labor and family issues. And you look at them differently. I gave you the idea of the breadwinners of the 1820s. If somebody was talking in the 1820s, they would talk of the breadwinner as the man. But now we have to start thinking of other things. Because male-oriented labor is changing. Do you see that women are now storming jobs like hell? Are we there? People, are you there? Do you know that many times these days, women are even making more money than men? Is it happening? It is happening. Do you see that the female labor force participation is now on the increase? Even when I look at you here, the majority are women. And they are looking very nice. You cannot tell me it is men buying these things for you. You are doing it yourselves much of the time. And so when you see men, I'm not supporting men who run away from their families and leave it to the woman. I'm not supporting that. Because I know that's common talk. So for me, I always want to touch issues which people avoid so that we can find a balance. Now, because these things are changing, We must avoid gender opposition, whereas if we are struggling, we must accept there are changes happening. And we embrace these changes so that at the end of the day, we cooperate and get out of it peacefully. Now, the male breadwinner family is phasing out. I'm saying what? The male breadwinner family is phasing out because the women are no longer in the kitchen. The women are no longer in the gardens. The women who are in the gardens used to bring also their produce from the garden. The man brings the cash from his job, and they put together, they have a meal, not so? But today, when the woman is also going to the office, she wants to be treated like the woman of the 1960s, who is the garden woman. And yet treat the man as a man who should be able to cater for everything. And that's an imbalance. We are trying to serve new wine, but in old skins, and that's why it is not working. And unless we change our thinking, we shall continue to have conflicts in our homes, whether we like it or not. That's why we are having cases where a man gets challenges. He's sacked from the job, or some of the business crashes. The woman has the money, she's doing well, but she's telling the man, you are the husband. You are the husband. And even failed to go to school and she has the money because the man is the what? Is the husband. And look at this. Are they your children? Yes, but he's the what? And yet you can see that when he has money, he provides. But this time you can see what is happening. And the man goes into borrowing, and then he goes into problems, and the marriage splits, and the children suffer, and the woman has the money sitting on it. And that's it. Is that fair? So unless we change our thinking in far as our labor resources and the stewardship of labor, stewardship of resources is concerned, we are getting it wrong. So we need integration and synthesis of these issues. Yes, how do we handle the issue now that has come like this? Sometimes it is you with the money, the other times it's the other one. Things change. They cannot be the same every day. So, we are seeing women now who are economically independent, not relying on the male breadwinner. So, to emphasize, whether here pastors and women always saying, the man must provide, the man must provide. You give your woman the money. Sometimes your woman has enough money, you don't even need to give her money. Me, my woman gives me money. See, because I understand these things. I understand these things. When I need it, she will give me. Because I know when I have, I also do what? I give her. This is for the family. She's here. I'm not backbiting God. I mean it. When I'm broke, she knows I'm broke. And I'm broke. And you men also don't pretend. When you are broke, just so you are broke. Why do you pretend? If this is your wife, don't pretend. Even if this is a problem. You put yourself up there and you make the woman believe you are up there when you are not there. Be who you are. Let her accept you the way you are. Begin the way you are. And even the marriage, you'll be able to maintain it at that pace, at that tempo. But once you show this woman you are up there, yes, you need to show some impression, even when you are not actually that, to impress her a bit. But don't go into what you cannot manage. Don't borrow Benzes which are not yours. You get? Don't take her to a mansion which is not yours. Show her who you are. Then even in marriage, you will not have these problems. Now, when I read the Bible, it says, God created the helper. He did not create a what? A parasite or a detuther. I'm yet to read the verse which says the man must provide for the woman and the woman must provide nothing. I'm yet to read that verse. If you have it, you give it to me. But what I know is Genesis 2:18 tells us that God said it is not what? Good for a man to be alone. Alone, just moving like this. It meant alone in life, even in other aspects. Even not being alone financially, not being alone emotionally, not being alone physically, not being alone spiritually. So we need to help each other in all these aspects. That's why he said, I will give him what? A helper fit for him. And who is a helper? Meaning that when I'm having issues, you come. When I'm down, you lift me. You get? Not somebody whom you become an extra baggage in his life. You should be a helper, not some extra baggage. You get? So, he's a helper, not a what? Not a parasite. So a man should not be a parasite on a woman, and the woman should not be a parasite on the what? On the man. You are in it together. And more so when you have children, they are yours together. And after all, in the end, they help the mother more than the father. True or false? True. You know there is this thing here. You know that one? Proverbs what? Yes, Proverbs 31. That what? That good wife. That ideal wife. What does it say? It is what? It is hard to find an excellent, meaning that when you're in courtship, you should know that even these men want excellent wives. If they want anybody, they can just pick any woman and take home. But why do you have courtship? To study, will this woman be of value to me? Or she's just coming to be another burden to me? This excellent wife is not easy to find because she's worth how many rubles? She's worth more than rubles. Rubies, sorry. Rubles are Russian money, Russian currency. So I'm sorry, I'm saying rubles. It is rubies, eh? But the rubles is Russian money, the way of shillings. So this wife is very valuable, that woman. Now that woman of Proverbs 31, 10 to 31, we are not going to read the whole of it. But when I read about that woman, I say, my. Can this woman ever exist? With her, the man has everything he needs. How I wish women who are here can be that woman. Those who are trying, thank you so much. I know those who are trying. Those who are not trying, you know that even us men, we long to have these women who lift us, not women who bring us down. Right? This woman does not do harm to the husband. This woman, she goes for far to get food. This woman, she prepares food for, she does what? She prepares food for her family. This woman, she looks at a field and buys it. She buys a plot in Kampala and tells the husband, I've bought a plot. I've even done what? With the money she has earned, it is in the Bible. Even in the Bible, women who earned did things, don't think you have started earning. This woman, she plants a vine yard. Are you doing it, you women who are here? Or every man is sent yachikazi. Now, if all the money, let's agree, men, if we are to say the women should have their money and we don't ask them to give us their money, where would they put that money? Sometimes I ask myself that question. And I will ask you to answer that question. Prepare. If your husband is supplying everything and you are mukonogam, you don't want to spend yours, not even on your children, not even on the food at home, not even on the fuel in the car you're also using, not even, then you tell us, where does that money go of the woman if the man is spending on everything? Let us start rethinking. Now, women, go home and read these other ones. I'm not going to read them because of time. Her husband is a recognized man in the city meetings. And people do what? I tell you, her husband, when they say, that's the husband of so and so, because the woman has made a name. You get? And she's a good woman. How we also wish to, they say, you're good. You also feel good, eh? But when they look at your wife and they look at you, they say, sorry, Bambi, this man. They feel sorry for you. fellow men, they say, even when they see a man who is also very lousy, they feel sorry for the woman. They say, okay, leave her home. But you see, when the woman has done all that, this woman needs to be what? Praised. Yes. Because there is always a reward. Even her children, bless her. Her husband also does what? Praises her. But there are some men, whatever the woman does, he cannot even be appreciative. The more the woman does good, the worse the man becomes. Have you seen those cases? Even the extent of beating the woman. Something wrong with your brains. How do you beat your woman? These excellent wives needed to be praised, actually. And you are in courtship. I underline for you this. Charm does what? Charm can fool you. And beauty can do what? Now, married women, please don't listen to this and don't stone me, but I will say it. Are you ready for it? Let me stop it, you'll stone me. Men, have you ever realized that most women who make homes are not the so beautiful ones? I know somebody will say, oh, but no. Now let me tell you the trick, women. Men generally are attracted very fast by women who look cute, who may even be scantily dressed. You know, men are they're hypocritical. Men are hypocrites. He will look at the woman with all her slits all over, and he's attracted, he's in it already. And even tell him, you look nice, you get it? And so beautiful women always think, when they see the men coming in big numbers, they think in Balina, and then they increase the size of the slit and all that. But these men, when they go to marry, now they think twice. They go to the corner to see a woman who's dressed very well and very polite, and they go for that one. Then another one. Now this beautiful woman who was being, pulling men, she wonders, what is wrong with these men? I've been pulling them, they are marrying the other woman, eh? No, men know what they want. A wife is different from somebody they can just eat coke. That's how men behave. Not so men. Even when he marries this woman with the small slits and all, when he brings this woman home, says, now that short skirt I don't want. This thing I don't want. Then the woman complains, but you got me in my dresses. I said, no, now you are my wife. I want you to look different. So that's why you think beautiful women don't look nice, because their husbands are telling you dress like this dress, while for you are putting everything under. You get it? So, men, young men, don't only go for what? For beauty, but look for women who have what? Brains. Women who have character. Otherwise, you will suffer. And yet you can't get out of it. That's why when you have this good woman of yours, you need to openly praise her. And I want to tell you that if I was not to be very far like this, I would have said, you woman, come here and I hug you. I openly praise you. But she's very far, but receive my hug. You stand up. You stand there and give it to me from there, where you are. Just I receive. Like that. We need to praise this woman. No, this woman has done me good. I tell you, there are moments when I'm completely broke. And she takes care of everything. Everything. Even school fees, everything. Even if you want everything. Everything. So I can praise her. You get it? She will not say, the man. Because she knows that when I have money, I actually release it. It gets finished. I said, it's not there and it's not there. Now I want to be faster, please. Let me be very fast. So now, when we're in courtship, those people you are courting, please, be sure that these people have good abilities. Okay? Be it the man, be the woman. Have those be good abilities. And even you, when you're in courtship, you know that you are being tried, you are being tested. Everything they are seeing you, whether you are a good candidate. Surprisingly, even in a camp meeting like this, somebody is looking at you. That's why I would encourage the ladies, when it is time for, you are given a microphone. Don't just sit there. I was saying, you stand boldly. I am so and so. And let people see you. If you have something to show, let them see it. And then somebody will be interested to see where you are going to sit at lunchtime or supper time. And he can bring the manifesto in an interesting way because you showed what you have. You showed that you have some brains or something like that. So even in the marriage, let us go use these abilities or skills very well. And if we have a spouse, identify the abilities, encourage them. Because when we appreciate and encourage our spouses, that's one of the love languages. Affirmation. And then the opportunities. Are we there? Opportunities come. And when they come like this now, use them to link up with the opposite sex. Don't just stay alone in your tent there. Go around. Let people see. Let people have optical nutrition of you. Then make yourself marketable. Show your value. Show it. When I'm with you, let me see some value in you that I can wish to have. If you have that negative side, please trim it down. Because there is this woman who sang the song, the first cut is the deepest. That was in the 80s. I don't know which cut she meant. But what I know is that these first impressions are very important. Somebody talks to you in the first 5 minutes. You are very rough. You are very, very thin. You put him off completely. Because in the first instance, we are attracted by our faces. Then, after somebody is attracted, he may want to do some initiation. That's how courtship starts. That's stage 1, right? After attraction, and then he does some introduction. Then he starts bonding a little. That's stage number 2. Then stage number 3, there is commitment coming up now. And then you continue, now things are going to happen. So unless somebody looks at you and he wishes to give you a second look, then he gives you a second look and then your mouth chases him away, the words, your character chases. Then you start coming to pastors, pray for me. When is your character chasing away people? I'm not saying that people with good character don't have these issues. But I'm saying in some cases that happens. Because there are men, even if they gave him to you, and he has everything, you say, his character will not do what? I will not handle. And you run away. And people think you are stupid. The man has everything. He gives you everything. You say, I will not manage. Because of what? Character. And for the men, I want to tell you ladies, there are women they can give you for free. They even give you a house. They even give you a car. You say, that woman I will not take. Let me go and I marry my own. Because of character. So let us encourage each other in marriage. Let us affirm each other. Let us stand by each other when we have challenges. Let us try to push our spouses into seizing some opportunity. If you see an opportunity, encourage your spouse. Encourage your wife. Encourage your man. You get? Especially the men, don't pull the woman down. Because men are fond of pulling the women where? They want these women they can control, step on. No, let the woman fly. You will gain out of it later. You have that confidence. Don't suffer from that inferiority complex. Men suffer from that inferiority. And I've told the men who want to date, don't fear the women. I told you now in my tribe we say a big yam does not eat itself. You cannot see a big yam eating itself. Somebody must eat it. So don't fear anything. Now, Yes, believe in yourself, you know. Now we have that stewardship of time. Now the stewardship of time. Ecclesiastes tells us there is a time for everything. There is a time for courtship. And as you are doing your courtship, is a time to do what? To marry. You're not going to stop in courtship. And when you have married, you know there is a time to do what? To have children. There is a time to do things you must do. So make sure that you time the timing. Don't wait. You are still waiting. Before you realize, it's already too late for you. And even for marriage, it is no longer possible because you waited for long. So let us reserve also time for God in our relationships, in prayer and in service. Because finally, He's the owner of time. Let us not only engage it for ourselves. Let us also give quality time for our partners or for our friends. Am I there? Quality time for partners. Is it there? Yes. We have had issues where people who are in courtship, girls especially, have complained, but even girls do it. Somebody takes you out, you are going to sit together, two of you, the whole time is on phone, making calls. You look at this boy, he brought me out to do what now? And he's showing off, talking to people, big things, and he's not giving you time. Why did he take you out? Even the girls, they do it sometimes. You go out and all the time you are chatting with your friends and the guy is just looking. Don't take the lesson there and the desire of ages there. That's not time for that. And the great controversy. Then when the great controversy all the time, no, that's not the time. So quality time is a love language. When you give somebody quality time, it shows that you value them. Have time for their family and for your children as well, because we should not be involved only in our activities without giving time to our people. We should also give time also to our relatives. Yes, they will need that time too. Now, there are some key aspects of biblical stewardship as we wind up. There is wise management. Are we there? Wise what? Wise management of resources. Now, whether you are married, you are in courtship, you have the resources, whatever you have, make sure you manage those resources wisely, because they belong to God, not to you. Then let's have generous giving. I've already talked about that. We all need to give each other gifts and all that. Let us be faithful in our services. And then we have responsible allocation. Even when we are in homes and in courtship and we have resources, let's allocate them responsibly. I know a woman in her family, she passed a law. She had to make hair two times a week. And whether there's money for food or not, her money for hair must be what? Must be there. That was a poor allocation. Then we should have diligent investment, because we have a future. So even in courtship, you can start saving together. If you are serious, what's wrong with that? So that by the time of the wedding, you even have all your resources. You even fund your wedding. Why should you go begging people always to give you money? You can also make your wedding yourselves if you are together and you are determined. You can make your wedding and meet those resources. Then let us have that grateful receiving. Let's be grateful. Whenever you are given something, be grateful. But they give you this, you want the other. You want this, you want the other. That's not being grateful. You get the person tired. Let us also have that purposeful sharing. Purposeful share. And then let us have transparent accounting. Whether in the courtship or in the home, let us use the resources with that transparency. Yes? And then we should have sustainable preservation. Because in the final analysis, the resources we use are not ours. We know that after us there is another generation. So let us make sure that we have that sustainable preservation. What about tomorrow? What about the other day? Let us not eat everything in one day. Then, of course, in all that, let us have spirit-led guidance. Spirit-led guidance. I'm sorry I couldn't avoid touching some of these things. The others have left. May I stop at this? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elder. You've touched many things. How I wish I had a lot of time to be able to go through them. I'll just add a little few from the things we have talked about. Here we're talking about stewardship, and we're in God's church. And of course, when we're talking about courtship and marriage, we cannot say we put out God in this situation. We realize, Elder read Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. We see that marriage originates from God. It did not come from man. It's God who realized that it was not good for man to be alone. And so God decided that since it is like that, I'll make him a helper that is comparable to him. We realize that God created man first before he created a woman. And we see that man sacrificed his rib so that his wife could be made. And so we realize that this bond had God at the center of the bond. And so when we talk about sacrifice, the very first sacrifice was done by man. He had to do away with his rib so that there could be a wife. I can imagine if the man said, I will not have a rib, I will not give you my rib. Would there be a wife? So we see the sacrifice coming in. Actually, I'm bringing the issue where you're saying, what about a sente echikazi? What is echikazi?
That's the question I wanted you to answer. Because I said, now sente echikazi. Where does it go if it is not going to the children, it is not going to the family, if it is not paying school fees, and the man is meeting everything? Where does that sente go?
Elder, unfortunately, I don't know the scent of echikazi. Because whatever we do, we share together.
But you have heard of it?
Yes, I have heard. But I'm saying in the context of my family, we don't have sente echikazi and sente echisajja.
Can we have an answer from the audience? Where does the sente echikazi go when the man has met all of the costs?
Wants to give an answer. Nora.
Somebody has an answer?
Then you
where that
forward.
money should go? As by God's design, according to the design of God, where should that money go? Do you have an answer? Continue.
Then we realize that when we're managing stewardship, we're actually managing resources that come from God, and they come directly from the hand of God, and we're supposed to use these resources to honor and even to glorify his name. So when we're talking about courtship, when we're talking about marriage, we must always remember that courtship is a lower step towards marriage. And so it is God who started marriage. So in everything we are doing, we must have God in mind. So as you go out, try to understand each other with this man, we must always remember that originator of marriage is God himself. So in everything that we do, we must be responsible. As this person is taking you out, remember, Elder talked about the keys or the guidelines to stewardship, where he talked about respect, where we talked about accountability, where we talked about things like ownership, responsibility, accountability, and rewards. Honestly, we should know that this man belongs to God, or this woman belongs to God. We've had incidences in the church where somebody says, I cannot marry a woman whom I've not played some games with. Let me tell you, the woman you're saying you want to first play games with belongs to God. And you're doing that, this body that you're playing with, it belongs to God. This is God's temple. And so if it is God's temple, why should someone play with God's temple in things that don't glorify God? And this calls the ladies, the young ladies, to be wise enough. Think about your body, because you're a steward of that which belongs to God, and that is your body. So when somebody comes around and says, I want to play around with your body, remember that that body does not belong to you. It belongs to who? It belongs to God. You can walk together. You can understand together each other, get to learn about each other. But you must have limits. You must have limits about your life. And of course, we remember that all of us are responsible towards God. So when you mess up your body, where is your responsibility? And I want to talk to the young man who wants to play around with this young lady. Before God, where is your responsibility as you do those things? Because, definitely when you play with my daughter, you're not going to marry her. And so what is your relationship between you and God in you doing that act? So when we do such things, we must always remember that we are accountable to God in everything that we do. And at the end of the day, there will be a positive or a negative reward for whatever act we do. So as we are faithful stewards, we must be able to go through courtship in a way that glorifies God. So that at the end of the day, when we get our marriages, when we get our families will be holy and glorifying to God. And then, when you're taking this young lady out, you must respect her. Respect her involves you not to go those levels. You must also be patient with her. Because many times we rush through. I remember when I was in college, a man comes and he's telling you, I want to marry you. And the following day he's telling you, let's go out. Let's go and have fun. Surely you want to marry me. I'm going to be with you for the rest of our lives together. And here you're telling me.
You remind me, in the 70s, when we were young, people used to sell juice in the market.
Yes.
So this one be here, this. So there was this habit of calling you to test so that when you take the sweetest. So some funny guys would come. Test this one, or closer. Doza. You take in doza. By the time he comes from here up to there, he's already satisfied and he goes away.
And he doesn't even buy the juice. Yes, the young ladies, who of us would want to be tested, and at the end of the day, you're dumped? I don't think any of us would be happy. No wonder we have so many people in church, many of our young ladies crying tears. Why? Because these guys will go behind and talk. You see her? I know her. And the other one will say, I also know her. And another one will say, I know her. I'm speaking this because I'm a parent. It is so disgusting and hurting. So our young ladies, please, keep your gold. There is a time for it. And so keep that is precious. And so we realize that, yes, in courtship, we gently grow emotionally and intimately with our beloved. So you are not jumping one level to another. You are growing into a relationship. And when you do that, at the end of the day, when you reach the last level, you'll actually enjoy, and God will be happy with you that you were faithful. So we need to be stewards. Elder, you talked to many things, but I'm just going to look at a few things. Why did God give us marriage in the very first way? Of course, we're talking about courtship, but the ultimate reason why we court is that at the end of the day, we must be married partners. So why did God give us marriage in the very first place? We realize that God gave us marriage for companionship. That is point number one. That's why he said it's not good for a man to be alone. And that's why he went ahead to make for him a helpmeet. It's so interesting that the helpmeet comes from the rib of a man. Why? God wanted us to help men to achieve the life duties that God has for a man. All of us here, we have ribs. Ladies, you have ribs where you came from. So as you are busy moving up and down being tested here, you're actually doing a disservice to your own rib. There is a rib, I guarantee you, there is a rib from which God got you. And at one time, that rib will come, and you will be able to enjoy. So God created us, one, for companionship, so that we can be at the side of the man to guide him, to advise him, to walk with him in the journey of life. When we talk about helpmeet, God has called each one of us with a specific task in life. All the men who are here in this very place, each one of you, God has created you for a particular task in life. We are not created to be competitors with our husband. We are created to be helpmeets. And so my husband has an objective in life. And so my responsibility is to support my husband to achieve that God-given objective for which he created him. And so when that comes out clear in my mind, it means whatever my husband is going to do, I must be able to support him. I must be able to encourage him. Sometimes these men go low and they don't have anything. So what is my responsibility as a woman? My responsibility would be to stand with him when he's low, to stand with him when he's up, to stand with him in the walks of life so that God's objective would be fulfilled in my life. If we get to know this, even in courtship, then we know what the reason for our life will be, and then we shall walk with him. I love the way Abraham and his wife was. When Abraham was having visitors, he told Sarah, Sarah, prepare some, bake some bread. We have some visitors. And you know, to our advantage, you realize that the visitors who came to their house, and Sarah rushed to bake some meat or some food, the visitors were the very ones who were bringing the message that Sarah was going to have a baby. Can you imagine if Sarah was not working hand in hand with Abraham? What would have happened? It would have been chaos. So we are supposed to work together to achieve our God-given objective. The third reason why God created marriage was for procreation. Now, when we talk about procreation, there are two aspects. There is one which is recreation, and number two is production of babies and the extension of the human race. You know, God is very wise. God knew that man also needs what? Recreation. And so he created this beautiful being and said, Abraham, this is the woman. And Abraham said, wow. Adam said, wow. A woman. And he called her a woman. And he said, this is my bone, this is my flesh. Actually, I remember the pastor who said he even made a poem because he had got something he had been missing. Women are precious, women are good.
There is something that surprises me in creation. Three works of creation amuse me. Air, water, and women. There is a way God packaged those things. They look simple, but very profound.
Can you imagine?
Sometimes I wonder what the world would have looked like without women. God put something in you I can't understand. When we look at you, you sweep us off our feet. But I don't know why. But God made you so special. And you make the world go round.
Can you imagine? Now, Elder, these people who go for same-sex marriages, it is so disgusting. But do you know what happens at the end of the day? Because there is this other responsibility of recreation. They even go ahead and adopt our children and bring them in their homes because they can't do it. Why? God's objective must be able to come out. Outstanding. So even if you go and you're a woman, you marry another woman, you'll still lack that quality because it is God ordained. And whatever man does as a man will not outgrow what God has done. So the best thing is that, yes, we may still continue to carry out what God has given. And of course, God created marriage to extend the human race. While these things are coming in to us today, that women, because they are disappointed with men, let them go ahead and marry women, you know they are killing what God created. The only way how man can exist on this earth is through procreation. And procreation only comes when there is a man and a woman. Not a man and a man, and not a woman and a woman. So that calls us to go back to the Bible study, which tells us that he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and he obtains favor from the Lord. I can imagine if a man marries a man, where does he get favor from? Here we have a blessing, but when we go that way, we don't get those blessings. Of course, marriage is a replica of God's love for his church. So, when we're talking about stewardship, we must relate marriage with God's love for his church. When we misbehave in marriage, we're actually misrepresenting God. When you misbehave in courtship, you are misrepresenting who? God. Because this love represents the love that God has for his church. In 1 Corinthians 13, God says love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not rude. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. Let's look back and see. One of the reasons why we are getting divorced in our church, it is based on some of these things. We are not patient. We want things now. We want things now. We are not kind to one another. If you're kind to your friend, you will not go and cheat on her. Because you have empathy. What I am doing should be something I would want somebody to do to me. But if I go ahead and do kindness, sometimes we are too rude to one another. I have an example. You are working. The woman has been working from morning to evening. And the husband comes from the work. And the first thing, he looks at the table and he does like this. And these kids are very young. They've been running up and down, messing up everything. And when you come, you expect a cup of tea on the table. And then the only thing you can tell your wife, you mean you didn't clean? We need to be understanding to one another. We should be able to empathize with our partners. The same to us women. The man has struggled the whole day. He has not even eaten anything. Now he's entering the house. You have not even prepared anything for him. As he's entering the house, you stand. By the way, today we don't have sauce. By the way, the water bill is high. By the way, we don't even have yaka. Do you know that the gas is finished? What are you doing to your friend? You should first receive him, sit with him, and tell him, you know what? You talk good things, and then later you say, you know what? We don't have power. You try to find a way to talk about it. And so when we start rudely, at the end of that, the man will also respond the same way. You mean I eat money? I remember there was an incident at home when a man asked the wife and said, you mean you eat soap in this house? Why? Because, the man had gone through a lot. And here he's entering the house. The first thing the woman is saying, we don't have soap. And the man was like, do you eat soap in this house? Can you imagine? You make your wife to eat soap. But why? Because of the circumstances that we go through. Well, if you're a faithful steward, things to consider. One of them is that what we call affectionate. Elder has just said, my wife stand, I give you a hug. Do you know that adds value to a wife? Moreover, in
Did you feel good? Did you feel good?
Yeah. You feel the fire. You feel the temperature going high. You are appreciated. There is no human being that will feel bad to be appreciated. Whether a woman or a man, they desire to be appreciated. So, genuine appreciation does not have to wait for a long time. Genuine appreciation, when I do something for you, I expect to say, yes, sweetheart, I am happy about this. And it gives me the fire to do. Elder, you are saying, how come the women keep their things? If you don't appreciate me, you don't give me the energy to go ahead and do things. But when I see I've done something and you say, yes, this is good, tomorrow I'll do something else to challenge you. But many times women do those things and men don't appreciate them.
Not all of them, I do.
Okay, Elder, for you may be doing it, but how about others? So, then also we need understanding, both sides. If I am going through a hard time, like for example, today there is no money, and surely I know he's struggling. We have bills of 7 million to pay for kids to go back to school. And here I'm demanding for trivial things which are going to cost a lot of money. Surely we need to be understanding towards each other based on the situation that we're going through. A great value of sincere word of love and courtesy is always welcome. And of course, when we talk about courtesy, we're looking at someone having consideration so genuine towards everyone that it flows spontaneously. Can you imagine living with someone who is not courteous? I have a story. I'm sorry, I'll give you an example. One time I was supplying in a supermarket. As I was supplying snacks, I met a manager and he told me, you know, can you imagine? These men from Ankole are very rude. Then I was like, what is the problem? Can you imagine this man has just abused his wife before everybody? And he told her, look at this stupid woman, go away in front of me in a supermarket. And do you know the reason he did that? Because he wanted to corner the lady who was on the till. And after the wife walked away in disgust and angry, this man walks towards these ladies who serve in the supermarket and gave this lady 50,000 note. And he says, you just leave that fool alone. And, you know, can we have a relationship? Courtesy. Come on, you need to respect your wife. In public, if you embarrass me in public, then you expect that things will not go well. But if you respect me, if you're courteous towards me in public, then expect that things will work out better when we are at home. I'm not going to bring out everything, but look at the point of forgiveness. One of the reasons why we are breaking up is that we don't forgive each other. I have found you, yes, you have done something, it has hurt me. I know forgiveness is divine. It's not human. It takes a long time to forgive. But we must cultivate forgiveness within ourselves if we are to live a happy life. A story was told of a woman who had a husband, and this man tried hard. And this woman was so naughty. Every time she would do things, and the man was, you know, he would try to accommodate. But one time she did something that the man was so annoyed, and he slapped her. After slapping this lady, she ran home to her relatives, and she had been updating them on everything the man would say. So when he slapped this lady, and the lady went home, what happened? The family told her, now if he has started slapping you, you're going to have issues. You better stay here. So the man was depressed by the action, and he ended up falling sick, and he was admitted. He was in the hospital. So the lady was told that your husband is in the hospital. She said, I will not go there. The family told her, now you want to go and see him? She said, no, I will not go there. Let him face it. So time came. Of course, the man came out of the hospital, and the man filed for divorce. When he filed for divorce, the family of the lady was like, yes, yes, divorce him. So with all that pride, the lady went and signed the divorce papers. She came home. I'm just trying to cut it short. When she came home, everyone was praising her because, before, on the divorce day, the lady was like, I want half of all the earnings of my husband. And so she went to court, and she was asked by the judge, what can the man give you for separation? And she said, I want half of the properties that my husband owns. So do you know what the husband said? I am not going to take anything that I have owned with this woman. I'm going to leave everything with her. All I want is her out of my life. So he left everything. The lady went for a short time. She was happy that she had everything. But let me tell you, those things wear out with time. At the end of the day, she had nothing. The man had a new life with another woman. This lady, those who were encouraging her, they went away, they got married, they had their own lives, and this lady was at home.
But on that note,
yes,
I didn't mention it. It's good you have not mentioned it as a woman.
Yes.
I feared to mention it.
Yes.
Now that you're a woman, I've mentioned it. Let me tell you, women, every time you're in a marriage, be very careful. Because if the marriage breaks down, you lose more than the man.
Yes. And so what happened? She lost everything. The man went on in a new life with a new lady whom he loved. They actually developed themselves much better. And this lady was writing, crying, and he said, when he goes to his sisters, they look at her, they are scared of her, they think she will grab their husbands. She's no longer respected at home. She's no longer treasured. She has no income. She has tried to survive. She cannot survive. She lives on the earnings that the man gives to support their child because they had one child. I don't think there's any woman who would desire to go through such a thing. She was regretting because she said all the things she did, she was actually forcing the man to behave the way he behaved. Even the beating, she consented that she's the one who provoked the man to beat her. But she confesses that after many years when she cannot get back the marriage. What am I trying to say? We must learn to forgive each other. Whatever, there is no situation that we cannot forgive. Even if he has cheated on you, find room in your heart to forgive this man. After all, how many sins have you committed before God? That God forgives you each and every day. And this is not a passport for a man to cheat, by the way. Because I can imagine if I cheated on you, I don't know what you would do to me. But there should always be room for forgiveness. And maybe the last two, I would say commitment. I remember when I was leaving home, there is something they told me. That you are going away, you'll no longer have a bed here. You no longer have anything at home. You'll be coming here as a visitor. So I went in my marriage with one thing. The marriage must work. Whether what or what, my marriage must what? Must work. In good times, in bad times, my marriage must do what? Because I have no room at home. Nobody will receive me. And for sure, I have lived now 22 years. So I thank God that God is faithful. So we must be committed. Do not go in marriage with one foot in marriage and one foot outside. When you have committed to live a life, go wholesale and be ready to make it work no matter what. And I can guarantee you, when you go with one heart, that I have gone in, no matter what, I am going to pursue success, God will bless you. That doesn't mean you'll not have challenges. They will come. They will come. They will come. Even when God has blessed you, they will come. But when you go with one mind that I am not going back home, you will succeed. Then the knowledge of God. You know, elders talked about the other issues. That's why I left them. Marriage without God is actually a donut with a hole inside. Whenever you have challenges, go on your knees. I can guarantee you 22 years were not a road of roses. I don't know how much elder can say, but I don't think it's a bed of roses. It has been with its own thorns.
But even if it were a bed of roses,
yes,
roses have thorns. So when you are passing through a garden of roses, admiring them, expect the thorns also to prick you.
Mm-hmm. And when they prick you,
you continue moving and appreciate what they are.
So, the knowledge of God, there is no situation that God cannot handle. Go on your knees and bring the matter to God in prayer. God will provide a solution, and at the end of that day, you will have peace in your home. I just like the Bible when they say, do not spend an evening and the following day when you are still angry. I know we get annoyed, but find some time, room, talk to God. When you talk to God, that burden that you have on your heart goes down. And you have room to talk to this person. I know sometimes, I have a friend who says she spends 2 days, 3 days without talking to the man. But at the end of the 3 days, she's the very first one that comes to the man and says, I'm sorry. And life goes on. Do you know, I realized when you say you are sorry, even when you've not done wrong, this person will go back somewhere, will move around, and then he'll come back and say, for sure, it was not you who was wrong. I was the one who was wrong. At least that's what I've seen. I know I'm stubborn in a way, but he has managed me because he goes around and comes back and say, okay, I was the one in the wrong. So we have lived because God has been the center of this marriage. Yes. And we've talked about many things. The topic of marriage is very big. There are many things, but yes, marriage and courtship is wide. And maybe would expect you to have some questions, which we could be able to answer. But before that, I have a small promotion. There are some books with Mrs. Kato, Messages to Young People. It talks about dating and a youthful life. There is this very beautiful book. No matter what happens, life is still beautiful. These books are with her. There is a book called To Have and to Hold by Nancy Pelt. There is Heart to Heart, the Art of Communication. One of the reasons we have challenges in marriage is that we don't know how to communicate. One is saying this for you, you are saying the other one, and you think you understand each other. Heart to Heart, the Art of Communication.
This is a book you read and read and read again, because I have a copy, and even what we hear pastors preach, it is from this book. Get it, you cannot go wrong. I have a copy of this book.
Yes. There is Smart Love. Smart Love is straight talk to young adults about dating, love, and sex. Let's take advantage of ABC, take advantage of Mrs. Kato's desk, and be able to do what? Get those books. There are many things we've not talked about, but you can get them from her. If you want her on telephone, 07064 70693 and 0782-836825. Please take advantage of that table and be able to learn more things that will best bless your life and will give you a powerful relationship, whether you're dating or you are in marriage. We want to use this moment to find out if there's anyone with a question, and maybe we could see how best, under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I've seen one already. There's a gentleman there.
Musooke mukubire mukadde mu ngalo. Mukadde nsaba busabi ekibuuzo kye ngenda okubuuza ka nkikubuuze mu Luganda. Mukadde oli musuubuzi? Ekibuuzo kiri nti
Ndi musuubuzi wa bakazi, wa mbuzi, wa nkoko, wa be specific.
Kanzije. Ekibuuzo kiri nti mwe abatusuubulira engoye basisita baffe ze bambala okuyita obwereere nti olw'okuba nti mwagala ensimbi. Kitukoze bubi nnyo ne woba oli wano mu kkanisa ku buno obudde ba girls bayita bute ngambe nti beetega. Ekyokubiri, amawulire ennaku zino gatambula. Last year oba ngambe nti guno omwezi gwennyini waliwo omuvubuka yaliva ebweru. Omusajja yasinikanga ssente ze omukazi akola emirimu. Omukazi fayini yakola naye yatekanga mu mannya ge. Omusajja atuuka okukomawo amubuuza ebintu biriwa, amugamba ajja kutwalayo. Butuuka ekiro omukazi yakwata akambe kujjako omusajja busajja. Agenda okudda engulu ng'omukazi ali mu bujjako abutwala butwazi lwa mpaka. Naye kumusaba bintu. Kali nembuuza maama wange, mutweyininga batujju bwe tulina mu maka, mutweyininga bakyawe tugamba nti okuwasa mutugamba love. Basisita baffe bayita bwereere. Ku buno obudde ne bwoba oyimiriza wano abavubuka abali mu sayizi yange abasajja bambadde bulungi, naye yimiriza abakyalo bagambe muyimuke mwenna mujje wano mu maaso olabe. Obuntu bumpi newe omugamba nti kunama wo tasobola kukutama. Ali bwereere mulugamba love. Tutwale bamalaya, tutwale baki mu maka gaffe.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given. I want first to salute you for the power of wisdom you have shared with us. I have 3 points. Number one, from a social point of view, I think it was of paramount importance if you actually divide the dust, those who are single and those who are already married. Because to me, there is already information overload. For example, me, I'm not yet married, but some of the things you are scaring me about marriage. How I wish you had, separated us, those who are single, the widow and widowers. We have our own what? Our own class. Then too, it helps someone who have come from KCC, Narumunye, Mount Zion, to mention but a few, to say, hey, this potential man is not yet what? Married. And you never know, someone's prayer can be answered. So in the next engagement, please think about it. By the way, let me tell you this. Yesterday, I was really astonished. We actually having lunch. Then a certain lady praised me. Then in my heart, I was like, I think I should get a number of this lady. Wait, you will be perplexed. Now, in the shortest time, I had someone came and said, Muchara Gund, in my heart. I was like, this lady is already married. So please, next time or tomorrow, divide us so that we can see each other. Hope my point is considered. How many are in support of that? Very good. Another one. Finances. Finances is becoming a serious issue, especially to us who are not yet what? Married. That day you tell a lady today that I want to start a journey with you. She wants immediately that you should usurp parents' power. Whatever bill on you, as if you have made a mistake to propose love to her. So please, as you are advocating for ladies, put that one into consideration. That the moment we have started journey, I should not usurp parents' power. But also men, don't be sting. Number 3, you have talked about commitment. But it is a disappointment on my side that some younger ladies, because me I have not yet married and I have seen, some disappointment. Some ladies, they want to be like Jesus. How would you tell me that you want to love everyone that is here? You are with this one, you are with this one, you are with this one. At the end of it all, I will lose interest in you. I lose interest in what? In you. So please, stop being like Jesus on this world. I submit.
There is something I'm not.
Yes, good afternoon, church. Yes, I would like to thank our elder and I don't know her name for the input. I stand here. Okay, so my question is, elder highlighted about conflict resolution, but he didn't expound much on it because some relationships have ended at the verge of resolving simple conflicts. So maybe if you can give us some tips, because there are some people who may take long to resolve a conflict, and there are some people who need immediate response. Someone poses you a question, and the moment you cannot give them feedback ASAP, it's done. So maybe if you can guide us on that. Thank you so very much.
Let us try to answer this first. There is a question about somebody in a relationship, but probably the problem is having somebody in a marriage. How can you help someone balance his or her marriage, life, and parents' problems? Something like that. Or maybe if relatives are interfering in your marriage. Do I understand it right? You have your marriage, but your parents or your relatives are somehow interfering in it. Yes, that's a big problem. It happens. One thing we must appreciate, that our parents have a stake in our lives. Because of them, we are who we are. Now, when you marry, especially the men, this woman comes to your home, but she's from another home. You know that the home there made her who she is. So if she comes to help her parents the other side, please appreciate it. In the same way, if the man also has relatives and parents, they also have made him who he is. So if he has to lend them a hand also, please appreciate it. But a caution to the parents, let us learn, the parents are relatives. Let us learn to respect the entity of marriage. That when two people marry, it is their business. Stop interfering in your sister's marriage, in your brother's marriage. Let them manage their affairs. You are not the one to think for them. After all, you are not the one who brought them together. They introduced each other to you. You didn't know them. You didn't know how they started. So let them sort out themselves. And the parents, of course, know your limits. Because I know here they say, Kusanga Nazaro Sangachi, Sanga Mararo. But if you are a woman, you know you'll become a Nazara also one time. So you should be Mararo also one time. So that means that each one of us must know how far we should go. So we can control that way. Now the question whether we buy or we kusula these small skirts for our girls, I can also add, if we also buy those tony trousers for our boys with their balance, because it's a two-way, it's not a one-way. We have seen even very funny trousers with the boys. So I think that is not, we are not, the church is not the one responsible for that. But of course, everybody comes to the church the way he is, and the church, as a hospital, tries to work to change this person. But you see, we are in a problem. We as parents, we are in a problem. Because normally people in courtship at the age of our children, to some of us, like me, anybody below 40 here is supposed to be is fit to be my child. So, because of this so-called modernity, however much the pastors talk, you talk and you get what? Tired. At KCC, I've heard people talk about Unkunamyo, but still you continue seeing them. This is the world of sin we are living in. Probably as we leave this camp meeting, you are going to burn those small skirts because you have heard the men complaining. And probably the men also are going to burn those funny trousers. And then we have an equal share of that.
Actually, Elder, what I may say is that the church is a workshop. In the workshop, what do you find? You find finished cars. If you talk about a garage, there are cars which are ready for sale and are good, in good condition. There are cars which are still under work in progress. There are cars which have got some dent and a problem that need to be repaired. For sure, you cannot say the owner of the workshop, do not put all these cars here. But the issue is, we are all in this church because God is working upon us. For sure, I cannot say your maturity or someone's maturity will be the same. But we trust God that He will bring us to the level that He wants us to be someday.
Thank you. Now, the other thing of whether women are cheats, even men can cheat when it comes to finances, because you said the woman was sending money, right? The man was sending money. Is that what it was? Then the woman swindled the money. Did I get it right? But don't men also do the same?
Actually, Elder,
they are doing the same.
Yes.
And more.
Elder, I have a testimony. My niece, she finished school, she got a job. And there was this man who was saying he wanted to marry her. They started saving together. They put up structures and everything. Do you know, after the man getting everything he thought he had got, the property, he dumped her. And the girl was left in the air to choose another way. So it's two-way. It's about commitment to God. When you look at these people who are in Iraq, men are doing it as a business these days.
He gets a girl, marries a girl, sends to Iraq. Marries another one, sends to Iraq. Some people are doing it. So they all continue sending money as he's at home and he's enjoying life as those women are working. People are doing it. Women, in most cases, don't trust men because very few men are trustworthy. That's the reality. In my book, where I said how to eat a woman's money, I showed that when a woman trusts you and you are very transparent, she will give you her money. But if you have corners, you will never see her money. So in most cases, men are not trustworthy. And you would rather rely on a woman more than on a man. I know what men can do. So it is a two-way. And now the other issue was, that's the reality. This issue of dividing you into groups is a common problem we get. Now you see, we are talking, we should have had widows alone, widowers alone. I believe that this arrangement was good for us to come together. We normally do it sometimes. But this arrangement was also good to interact so that you can hear what married people are facing or they are going to ask, because you are getting into it very soon. So to leave you there, to think you should always know how to laugh with these young girls, and then you marry, then 2 years down the road, you divorce because you didn't know what was happening in marriage. It doesn't help you. And these days, divorces are very common. 1 year, 2 years, and you divorce. But if you are here with the people who have been in it, and they tell you it is not easy, then as you are doing your courtship, you know you are entering something which is not easy. But when you are just there, and you are looking at things in a rosy picture, you are all over each other. You come here and the picture changes. You know, yes, there's this rosy picture, but there are also the thorns. So to mix you with these people is also to know the experience, and you know what you are coming to face. So I think that
it is good that we have camp meetings. So when you come in a camp meeting, you can spot a rose. And you inquire from somebody, how about this rose? So in the next camp meeting, you can put some words, or you can fall and try to visit the churches and get to know these people. Because this is an avenue where the youth also interact, get to the youth groups. And you'll see, you'll get to know them much better. Because even when we group you in groups, you may actually not get that opportunity. But here you have an opportunity. You've seen them for 1 week. You've seen how they relate when they don't know you. So you can pinpoint on the girl you think you have an interest, and then try to find out from the elders.
And I want to believe that once the topic was courtship and marriage, it was a good linkage. Courtship to deal with issues of the youth who are transitioning into adults. So there was no harm in that. It was actually designed for that purpose, so that we can see that link. Then there was this question, I don't know whether I got it right. Somebody was complaining, I think, that these young girls, immediately you feel you want to have an issue with them or you promise to marry them, they become very demanding. Did I get it right? Did I get it right? Now that's the point. Let's pause at that. Some of you have read this book, The Love Game. How many have read that book? The Love Game. Why men like sex and men and women need love. Have you read that book? Now when you read that book, that's where you see yourself very well. Let us not deceive ourselves. When we're in church, we tend to talk about the ideal. But sometimes I want to talk about reality. And this reality now we can bring it to the ideal. At the basic level, at the basic what? Level. A woman looks into a man or looks at a man more so basing at his capacity to sustain her. In other words, when a man looks at you, a woman looks at you, a man, at the basic level, she wants resources. Am I clear on that? You may not have the money at the moment, but he's seeing potential in you. So a woman, although these other ladies will say no, but at the basic level, that's it. That's why a woman will not go, she has all the money, she will not go and get a man who is a chisati, and then panopit him. into a husband, unless he's a sugar mommy. That's a different story. But a woman who can be married by a man worth her salt, she wants a man who is able to sustain, to provide. The way you see a cook, not eating but giving, you get. So don't get surprised when you tell a woman, I love you, a young girl, and then she tells you, my shoes are torn, then the bag, then the dress, then the tuition, then the rent, then the what. That is the normal. That is what? Normal. Now I'm talking reality. Today is not a Sabbath. And you are not going to take me to the church board. It is not a Sabbath, that's the reality. Are we together? Then they dress this thing into other words. A man who is supportive. Supportive in what? Holding her like this? Supportive in finances. A man with commitment. Commitment what? A man who can give everything to her. You know that whatever you have is her, that is commitment. You get? So when women demand money, it is their nature. It is their what? It is their nature. So when you see a woman smiling at you and not at a poor guy, that's it. And let me even say this. I look around, I don't see very young children. But research shows that a woman gets, it is easier for a woman to get orgasm with a rich man more than with a poor man. I stop at that. Now, the other thing. Yes. Now the other thing. Now we got the other side. Let's take the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin. Women have been complaining. Now we have been saying, women don't allow to be tested. Blah, blah, blah. A man says, I love you. I want to marry you. Then let us go and see things. Now, also women should understand that from the basic level, when a man looks at you like this, the other time I used the polite language, saying he looks at you like a garden. Now, when a man looks at you like this, the first thing is to evaluate you, to assess you in terms of sexuality. That's why women, every time you are walking, even at this camp meeting, even at this what? Many men, many young men, every man, any man can address you optically. In other words, as you are walking, he's imagining. So when he makes a move towards you, whether it is for marriage or for other things, a sexual need, you know that among the men, need number one is sex. Emotional need number what? The first emotional need for man is. So when a man approaches a woman, he's not approaching you as a sister. The man has his sisters. The sisters can be very beautiful. But when he comes to you, he's looking at you in terms of what? Sex. So when he demands sex and you demand cash, you are just showing those intuitions. I think they are called intuition, they are called what? Traits at the basic level. So it is normal. You can only know how to control it, but it is normal according to science.
Elder, I think the topic of marriage and courtship, it is very big. We have run out of time. I want to thank you, all of you.
There's this one of tips. I don't know. Oh. The tips, the marriage breaking.
Because they are giving us that the time is up.
I hear the time is up. But for those by the question to do with the tips, how to handle, probably that one you can approach me in person and we shall discuss with you. Thank you so much.
Yes. We are
we are told the time is over.
Because we are told the time is over, we cannot continue. It is interesting, but we can't go ahead. So may we stand and humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Almighty God, everlasting Father, we know that this topic is very important, and we know that this topic is a topic that is desired by everyone. Lord God, we know that it is you who created marriage, and for a good reason. Loving Father, I pray that you may help us to understand the dynamics of the issue of marriage. And Lord, I pray that you bless this group, that they may continue to think your way and act your way, so that we can have better marriages that will glorify your name. As we go to the next program, Father, take charge and let your will be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. What do we say, church? Amen. We want to thank Elder